Welcome to No Gimmick Radio. Now here's your hosts, J. Rod and Matt. It's Friday, June 3rd, and do you know where your favorite internet wrestling radio show is? I do. It's right here. It's No Gimmick Radio. This is J. Rod. With me this week, as always, is my good friend Matt. Matt, say hi to everybody.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in once again.
Appreciate all the great feedback we've been getting. This week we've got some news, a new top 10. We're going to talk about must-see WWE home video. And we've got some viewer emails to get to. We were very happy to hear from some, well, not really viewers, listeners. Listener emails to get to. We were very happy to hear from some folks listening to the shows. And we just have a jam-packed show, so we're going to jump right into some headlines here. First things first, the Jeff Hardy court case has been continued once again for what appears to be the 300th time. Jeff Hardy, of course, was accused of trafficking drugs, obviously was caught trafficking drugs, and for the, I don't even know what the count is at this point that his court case has been continued, but let's be honest, folks, he's a celebrity, probably not going to see any jail time. Jeff, just pay the fine and move on.
Hey, innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, well, when you're found with pills and things in your bag at the airport, you're pretty much guilty.
You're right, Jeff. Just get this over with, man. Just get your head out of your butt.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to see him do like a whisper in the wind at least one more time.
Yeah, one more whisper in the wind for the road, Jeff, and then you can go traffic as many drugs as you want, and you won't be affecting the 9-year-olds that still paint their face and wear the stockings. Matt, you had a really good way of describing this situation. Why don't you go ahead and let them know?
Yeah, Jeff Hardy, man on top of the world, had everything. Bright star, it's burned out.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not going to spend any more time on that. We're going to move on to Karma and her situation with the WWE. Karma, also known as Awesome Kong in TNA, came out this week that all the crying and the storyline and all the weirdness is because she's pregnant, and they needed to find a way to get her off TV. Her pregnancy is considered high risk for her body type. Also, I've heard from a couple sources that she's a diabetic. I don't know that that's totally true, but those two things coupled with being a professional wrestler obviously are going to equal a high-risk pregnancy. So we wish her nothing but the best, and congratulations, as Matt said earlier, obviously. Obviously, congratulations. As we were talking before, he said that we should make sure we congratulate her, so I wanted to make sure I throw that in there. It's a big deal, especially, these people, they're not just clowns dancing around. They do have personal lives. They do
not Doink, though.
Doink is a clown.
Get it straight.
Yeah, sorry. They do have personal lives, and, she's a woman. Obviously, sometimes women, they don't have kids.
No, congratulations to her, and I hate to sound selfish, but I'm kind of disappointed because I never really had an interest in the Divas division, and man, Karma comes out of nowhere and puts that interest in there, destroys all of the Divas. So yeah,
absolutely.
It's disappointing, but
I can say that's the most women's wrestling I've watched is the segments that she's been a part of in WWE. So sad on one hand, but you got to congratulate her and be happy for her. And I have a feeling that in the 9 months, 10 months, however long it is that she's out, I don't think it'll be a problem for her to come back and to regain that steam and regain that momentum, especially for how lame the WWE Divas division is to begin with.
Oh, she'll definitely stand out when she comes back and destroy everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about a woman who's probably more well-trained than some of the men on the roster. She's got training all over the world, Japan and Germany and Mexico. She's literally wrestled all over the globe, and she's someone who really makes an impact no matter where she goes, not just by her look, by the way she works, by the things she does. She literally is, a stellar athlete, and she stands out. And also, it should be mentioned that if you check her website on her blog, she does mention that all the stuff about JR was a work during her shoot. JR actually is one of the reasons that she was able to get hired into WWE. And from what I hear, JR's catching a lot of heat for, quote, saying that she's fat. And again, folks, we're doing air quotes in the studio.
Those finger quotes. It was, just a part to get her off TV, and I guess you do what you got to do, and sorry, JR, for taking the heat.
Absolutely. Well, moving on from there, this Monday night is the Tough Enough finale. It's going to pit Silent Rage Andy, who I call the Crybaby, against Cool Hand Luke. They're going to do a 5-minute match at Florida Championship Wrestling. I believe the segment's already been shot. It's just got to air Monday. And it's not the winner. It's whoever puts on the best performance. Obviously, we know the outcome will be predetermined. But it's whoever has the best performance, they're going to get a contract within the WWE.
Yeah, I haven't watched much Tough Enough this year, but definitely pulling for Luke because he definitely has that look.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure. I mean, you look at Andy, and you have to kind of almost snicker every time you see him because you just remember that breakdown where Steve was in his grill and questioning him about his desire, and he starts bawling, thinking about his family and his kids. It is what it is. I mean, it could be a very emotional situation for anyone, but honestly, crying on national television, that's not doing any favors with Stone Cold either. So, I mean, you gotta admit at this point, Luke definitely to me looks like the favorite.
Yeah, pulling for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and enough said. I mean, enough said on that topic. And lastly for news, we took a look at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view poster. The show is July 17th, and the poster actually features John Morrison, so it would appear that by July 17th, John Morrison will be back in action for all of you kids that love those awesome shades that he wears. It appears that he will be at Money in the Bank, and to me, that's only good things for Money in the Bank because he's a lunatic, and he will literally do anything off of a ladder.
He's going to be a highlight of that match.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. For those of you that aren't familiar, Money in the Bank obviously is a pay-per-view that features 2 Money in the Bank matches, one for the contract for the world title and one with the contract for the WWE title. And obviously the winners can cash those in anytime within the next 12 months of them winning. Sums it up, I would think.
Yeah, that's the pay-per-view, yeah.
Absolutely.
You got it.
Absolutely. Well, with that, we're going to bring you this week's top 10, and we have a very special one for you this week. We're actually really excited to debate this one. This is the top 10 WWF/E Intercontinental Champions of all time. So I'm going to throw it to Matt, and I'm going to let him give his top 10 first. And then I'm going to tell him how awful it is.
It's going to be a pretty awful one, let me tell you, J-Rod. We'll start at number 10, and I can't wait for you to criticize each and every one of them. I think we have a couple matches, though.
We do have a couple matches.
Number 10, Ravishing Rick Rude. Why? Well, I think he had one reign. But he beat the Warrior and gave the Warrior's best match. And I'm sorry, but I should put Rick Rude in every top 10 because of his tights alone.
When we do a best tights top 10, he'll find his way into my number 1.
I think you'll have at least 3 spots in mine. Number 9. And I'm sorry he's not higher on the list, but it's Chris Jericho. He does have the most reigns as an Intercontinental Champion, but I think you said what?
They average 35 days.
And the Intercontinental Champion is sadly not as important of a title as it once was.
Yeah.
So therefore, he's a little higher on the list.
Right.
Number 8, we've got Mr. Perfect. He had 2 perfect reigns, totaling 406 days. Sorry for that awful pun. Number 7, the showstopper, Shawn Michaels. I think he had 4 reigns, 3 or 4?
3 reigns for 406 days, the same as Mr. Perfect.
There you go. Number 6, I have number 6 and 5 tied for 2 of the greatest. I was going to get yelled at if I didn't have these 2. Number 6, Pedro Morales for that miraculous 425-day reign.
That was one reign. He totaled 619 days.
Yeah, one reign with 425.
Yeah, that's
Doesn't
pretty
happen
great.
anymore. Number 5, we've got The Rock, Don Morocco.
Good call.
Yeah. Number 4, hey Chico, hey yo, Razor Ramon.
I don't think we needed the impersonation, but he...
well, come on, man. Every time you have a toothpick, you know you want to throw it at somebody. That's what I do.
Pick your teeth.
I walk indoors just like Razor Ramon. So,
yeah, just like he did when he was walking out. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
Folks, what you couldn't just see is Matt doing his impersonation.
I should just get up and do it, but...
Razor Ramon. Hope that one day we'll be able to bring you some video and you can see Matt do his Razor Ramon impersonation.
You don't want to see it, but I'll do
Chico.
it for you anyway. Number 3... This guy will probably make it on every top 10 list at all just to make J-Rod angry, but the Ultimate Warrior for his monster reign.
I'd like to say, literally, I have no problem with the Ultimate Warrior except for the fact that he took a big, giant, wet dump on the entire business. And
yes, he did.
Hardly ever find a way into my top 10.
I will always back the Ultimate Warrior, despite what you say. Because
back him right into parts unknown.
I'll join him in parts unknown if I can find it. Number 2, the Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah, that's a good choice for number 2.
I mean, he could almost be number 1, I think, honestly.
He could.
Number 1, Randy Savage for his memorable feud with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, the ring bell, the crushed larynx. Then the set up to one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about that match a million times.
Oh yeah, we kept talking about that one for at least the whole show, probably.
Okay, I'm going to get my top 10 here. Oozing his way with all of his machismo to number 10, Razor Ramon. I love the walk, man. Can't get enough of it. 4 reigns, 438 days. Also, I feel that I should explain, when we're talking about the Intercontinental title, for those of you too young to remember, from about 86 to about 94, the Intercontinental title was probably the most important belt in the WWE/WWF, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it was the precursor to a guy getting the, quote, big belt, and I did finger quotes again. If you had a successful Intercontinental title run, odds were you were going to get a shot with the world title. I mean, you're talking about guys like Bret Hart, Randy Savage, Shawn Michaels, all were great and incredibly memorable Intercontinental champions. Also, your guy, the Ultimate Warrior, hence, I mean, how could I forget him?
He's the man.
He's from parts unknown.
Can't argue with that.
Absolutely
No one knows
not.
where he's from.
Yeah. But it's those kind of things. I mean, you win the Intercontinental belt, you have a good run, you get a shot with the other belt. And, that was just the way it was back in the day. So, number 10, Razor Ramon, 4 reigns, 438 days. Number 9, Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, 2 reigns, 406 days. The perfect Intercontinental champion. And I'm reminded of a shoot that he did one time where he said, "The Intercontinental belt says wrestling champion on it. And Brett, you may be excellent, but you are not perfect. To be a champion, you must be perfect." Something along those lines.
You may be great, but you'll never be perfect.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I butchered that, but it doesn't matter. Go watch a DVD. Number 8, a little upset that I didn't find this on my boy Matt's list. The first ever Intercontinental champion, Pat Patterson. 1 reign, 219 days. A little shorter time, only 1 reign, but still a very, very important reign nonetheless. Number 7, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. 3 reigns, 406 days. A respectable Intercontinental champion, no doubt. Had a huge, huge ladder match at WrestleMania 10. Definitely a huge part of the history of that title.